Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday morning session here at Namaste Village. We have some new faces that are joining us today and probably some new faces here on Zoom as well. And we are blessed. We are blessed to have you with us, blessed to join, blessed to move together in the direction of this sacred, holy light that is our home, that we never left except in our imagination. To know that wholeness is whole forever, uncompromised, undeniable. And all we need to do is to relax into that wholeness. There's nothing to do, to attain, to fight for. Ultimately, just relax and let the current of that sacred river take hold. And it's also nice to have brothers and sisters that you can join with in that sacred experience. If you were going down a river on a raft, on a beautiful journey, wouldn't it be fun to have your brothers and your sisters with you? Probably. So that's why we come together. And I was just thinking of the Zoom audience, the amazing people all over the world that we have, anchored by Vicky, of course. It wasn't until 2.5 years ago that we started doing the Zoom sessions for our morning gathering. And that was because of COVID. It just shows that even in the midst of something like that, there are blessings. We are blessed to join, to arrive, because that's what we've done. We've arrived. Here I am. So today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about something I mentioned yesterday. We call this it doesn't have a term, it doesn't have a title. We just call this the movement into the experience. The movement into the experience of knowing that you are whole, of knowing that you are filled with light or enlightened. I could say that you are enlightened now, and that would be the absolute truth, because enlightenment simply means filled with light. So you are filled with light. You are filled with the love of God right now. And yet, within our egoic split mind self, we deny that and we try to create an alternate reality. It's what they call an alternate truth. But there are no alternate truths. There's only truth itself. And that truth is that you are perfect and whole and complete right now. The moment we accept that fully is the moment that we step into the experience of that enlightenment or that illumination. And we mentioned yesterday that there is a kind of process where that happens, beginning with the moment when the mind opens and suddenly fully receives that which has fully received us. We call that the illumined mind. And then there comes the moment when that clicks into a deeper experience called the awakened heart. And finally, these two come together into the realized soul. The realized soul would be that ultimate state of grace, of awakening. We could call it the avatar, the Christ, the Buddha nature. You could use many terms, but it describes something that is beyond this world, really, but which each one of us has access to. So this morning, what I want to do, first, I'll show you this. I'm going to be reading a little bit from, close this. We're reading from this new book, which will be coming out very soon, the Yeshua Code. There it is. Isn't that a nice cover? I really like that cover. So I'll stop this for just one moment because I want to make sure that you know how that book came about. most of you know that it was originally published, 18 years ago or so, under the title, The Art of Spiritual Peacemaking. For those of you who live here, we do have a bunch of copies inside there, so you can always grab one if you want. And The Art of Spiritual Peacemaking came from an experience that I had when I was at the Dead Sea in Israel. I had a group of pilgrims there. I'm sure I told this story before, so I'll just very quickly go over it. A group of pilgrims were there. We had been to the Dead Sea already, and there's one spot that I love, which has a hot spring that comes right out of the Dead Sea. So in this hot spring, just like with the water from the Dead Sea, you're buoyant because of the salt content. You just sort of float in this hot, very rich mineral water. It's amazing. And so a few of us, including JM, many of you know him, went back down there, and because the rest of the group had left, we had a few extra days. So we went back down to the Dead Sea. And I was floating there by myself in this hot spring, because I think it was a Monday, so there were very few people there. And as I was there, I was thinking about this project that I was trying to complete, which I just couldn't get traction on. And as I'm floating there, just feeling this warmth, relaxed, I saw this man walk up to me. And it wasn't so much that I saw him with my eyes, though I did have a physical experience. But still, I felt this man walk up to me. At first, I thought he was just a typical Israeli, just out for a walk, coming to the, I actually moved out of the way so he could get in. But then I looked into his eyes, and I realized that this was him. I say Yeshua instead of Jesus because in my experience, it was as if this was the real deal, not just this character that we have painted and sculpted for centuries, but the same man who had walked on that very earth. And he looked down at me and he said, "Would you like some help with this?" Finally, I said yes. And it was as if, when I said yes, it was as if something was downloaded into my mind. And he said, these are the secrets that I shared 2,000 years ago. But to the masses, I told stories. But now it's time for us to really fully embrace these secrets. So this was the experience. And he said, oh, when you want to write one of these lessons, one of the 33 original lessons, to get into hot water, just like you are now. And at some point you'll feel a click. And get out of the hot water and just start writing. And each lesson will be exactly 999 words. And sure enough, that's exactly how it worked. And it was in this download that this experience came of the Three Enlightenments. I said a moment ago they don't have a title. I just realized they do. The Three Enlightenments. The Illumined Mind, the Awakened Heart, and the Realized Soul. Yesterday, we talked about the Illumined Mind. And even though the experience of the moment of opening your eyes and seeing reality and knowing that you finally stepped into a whole state of mind, the temptation will be to believe that you've arrived, that you've come to the highest pinnacle of the mountain. But it's very, very important to remember that at this stage, in that awakening, humility is so key. So we talked about that yesterday. And so this morning, what I thought I would do is to share a little bit from that Yeshua Code book, because it's been now rebranded as the Yeshua Code, and it's coming out next week. So I thought what I would do is to share a little bit of what Yeshua says about the Three Enlightenments. So let me go ahead and I'll put this in full screen. There we go. So I'm going to first read a little bit of what he says about the Illumined Mind. This is the light that shatters your perception of everything you thought was real and everything you value in the world. Its effect is stronger than anything you can consider with your mind. Imagine that you've been sitting in a dark closet for many years when suddenly the door opens to a cloudless sky. The sun is directly above you and you are blinded by its effects. Now multiply this by 100, then 1,000, and you are then close to the powerful opening you will experience when the first enlightenment dawns. Hold on, let me move this. Where was I? Okay. You will see the world through new eyes and believe that you have finally arrived at the end of your journey, but you have not. It is but the first stage of your awakening, and it's essential that you do not accept this, the idea that you've arrived. The contrast alone is enough to convince you that you must have achieved full illumination, but the ego still clings to the walls of your mind and is afraid to move forward. We will define the ego here as the part of you, I keep seeing all these little typos, oh no, the part of you that believes it is separate from everything that exists. It's not the real you, just as you or the concept of you is not real. The concept of you is not real. And this is your salvation, knowing that. You now look out upon the world you created and realize that you did create it. Do you understand? You are no longer the effect, but the cause. And thus do you realize your power. But power without an awakened heart is nothing. And so we move on to the second stage, the awakened heart. You will recognize a master who has achieved the second stage by their willingness to give everything to everything. That's what the awakened master is, their willingness to give everything to everything in every moment to everyone. What does that look like? I can't tell you, because it's beyond what it looks like. It's more about what it feels like than what it looks like. It could look like a million different things, but it will feel like one thing. Does that make sense? Your heart explodes and becomes a river of refreshment to all beings. They come to you with parched tongues and drink from the grace that flows from deep within. When you look upon them, you see only the beloved, for you know that only the beloved exists, and your praise is unmatched. Words cannot speak of this state, for they are but the concepts of a world that no longer exists for you. And yet there is a new language you have learned, the language of the heart, of love itself. You are that love now. That's the only thing the awakened heart reveals. You are that love. I am that love now, and I see it everywhere. The instant the second enlightenment occurs, the first thing you will say to yourself is, how could I have not seen this before? It's the most obvious thing in the universe. And so it is with you and all beings, for the awakened heart reveals that which cannot change within you. But you are still not finished. There's still one final opening, the third stage. So here we go, the final stage, the realized soul. Of this, we cannot speak. The moment you try to conceptualize this state is the instant you return to the world of form, the world the realized soul views but through half-opened eyes. It would not be true to say that they are in the world at all, but just as you are not in the world, even now. But the true master sees both within them, and thus becomes the bridge that leads others into the vast light of realization. Stand beside them, and you are but a step away. Enter yourself, and you realize that there is no step at all. It was all in your mind, then in your heart, and it is now but a memory that fades as does the darkened sky come dawn. The shadows that frightened you so appear as harmless friends, and you find yourself wrapped in a deep, incomprehensible peace. You are home, the home you never left except in your imagination. There is nowhere for you to go now, for the light has come to you at last. And yet, though these three stages of your enlightenment, through these three stages of your enlightenment, nothing has really changed. You are the same as you have ever been. Nothing has ever really changed. This is an awakening. It's a realization, but within this awakening, you are and have remained exactly as you were created. And this is the good news. The truth that you cannot change in an essential way. You can go through these stages of waking up. And that's all this is, the stages of awakening, of realizing. That's why it's called the realized soul, because you finally realize that you are whole. But the truth is, you've always been whole. There's never been a compromise to that, except where? In your imagination. So it's time to stop imagining darkened forms that have no true power. It's time to stop imagining states where your holiness is compromised. It's time to come home. That's all these three enlightenments are saying. Come home. So I'm going to turn it over to Vicky now that we've gotten everybody all warmed up. And Vicky can fill us up now. So I think I saw someone next to you a moment ago. Who did we see there, Vicky?
You did, Brother James, and you did see my little family here who have gone away and put themselves in another room. But here is my brother Harvey.
Yo,
Here,
I'm the grateful one.
Come on.
There's Harvey, the one we speak of.
Harvey.
Right here.
We can't get Noreen, but we got you, Harvey. And
Okay,
Kiera
we'll take
was
Harvey. Is Noreen there? Uh-oh. Did Vicky disappear? Vicky, are you there? Or did we disappear? Someone, no, I think we're still here. Well, I'm sure she'll come right back. See, Harvey's light is just so bright that the instant he comes on, he flashes all of the equipment out. Harvey, if you didn't figure that out, is Noreen's husband, so Vicky's brother-in-law, and he's quite the character.
quite the character. But
Thank
Here
you.
he is.
I'm going to set Harvey up because on those three enlightenments, the truth is there's always a back door, an access place, and we call it love. It is always love. Somehow it takes a layer off of what has been covering our eyes and making things look dark, and we truly enter into a moment of union and light, and we enter it through love. But I've known Harvey, I don't know, 40 years, I don't know, a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. He was my gas station guy. We'd go fill it up. And the most consistent presence of one word, I would say, of love as gratitude of anyone I've ever known in my life. And no matter what he has been through, and he's been through lots of incarnations in this lifetime, he has immersed himself always in gratitude. So, Harvey, you want to talk about that for a minute?
Thank you. The best, if I had to sum up my life in one word, it would be gratefulness, gratitude, and it can always be worse, and be grateful that what you have isn't worse. So all you have is to only look for the best, because to put anything negative in your head is infectious, and we have so much of that around us. Forget about the news and politics, even friends. Some friends are just superficial, but the real ones have gratitude for your friendship, and you can tell the ones that really love you because they listen to you. And it's not just a gloss over kind of, oh yeah, how are you, goodbye. You know, and when you say have a grateful day to somebody, oh yeah, that's another thing. If you know, a lot of people say, see you tomorrow, see you again, see you, goodbye. Don't say goodbye, say have a grateful day, because it's not a religious thing, it's not denominational, it's just have a grateful day, and the person will stop in the attraction and say, yeah, I need that. And it's a repetitive theme that I've been saying it all my life, and so many people are appreciative of that. Have a grateful day. It's far better than have a good day, see you tomorrow, nice to see you. Have a grateful day, and that hits home to a lot of people, and it spreads the love, because the love it's all there is, and the love is endures. So if there's one thing you do today, the next time you meet somebody, use it as a mantra, and just say to whoever you meet in your goodbye. Don't even say goodbye. Just say have a grateful day, and you'll be surprised at how things sparkle right up from that.
And I have to say, what makes it really work is Harvey really lives this. I mean, totally lives it. He's gone through lots of ups and downs, as we all have, in relationships and business, lots of them, and I've witnessed them. And no matter what he's been through, he never carries the past upset with him to a present moment. He says, I've got nothing but be grateful. Here I am, I'm healthy, I'm breathing, I'm grateful. And he lived that. So Harvey is like one of a kind. Today is also my father's birthday.
And my mother's birthday.
And his mother's birthday, and Bonnie's birthday, who I think might be in the room. And all these Leos at the Lion's Gate are breaking through. You don't need to find it in books. Like Harvey never read books. My father didn't. Dennis doesn't. Bonnie's husband, Dennis, another Leo. They've somehow come in with some place in their soul that's awakened and realized and illumined, and it comes out as being present and being grateful. I remember Harvey years ago talking to you after a major upset of some sort or another, and you had no negative thoughts or words or regrets. No regrets, Harv.
Yep.
You said, well, got me here, here I am.
I really make a conscious effort to have no baggage. And I laugh at people in my head. I go, they should be just, again, grateful. And they carry this baggage with them. And they're trying to learn how to get rid of baggage. Don't think about it. Just be grateful you're here now. Forget about the past. We all know these people, they carry truckloads of baggage in their life. And I did this yesterday, last week, and that person did this, and I did that, and I have to do this. You don't have to do anything. Just live today and don't have that baggage. The Course, I've learned the Course by osmosis from Vicky, and it's really, the whole thing in the Course is don't have any baggage. Period. That's it. It sums it up. So.
I just have to say, to interrupt for just a moment, I've been listening to Vicky and Harvey here, and as I was reading the excerpts from the Yeshua Code, in my mind, the whole time, I'm thinking, blah, 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 blah. That's a lot of words. It's wonderful, beautiful words, but it's a lot of words. And then Harvey comes along and says everything that needs to be said with have a grateful day. That's the whole thing. And that's what I love, is we don't need all of those words. Yeah, maybe they come in handy at one point or another, but it's just funny that the whole time I was reading, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I shouldn't be reading all this. This is just blah, blah, blah. And then Harvey comes along and sums it all up. Have a grateful day. So continue, please.
I just want to say, look in your lives, because we all have them. The ones that are naturally present, naturally themselves. Just be yourself. Now, I know Harvey, I knew my father, Louis, Bonnie's husband, Dennis. These are guys that never read a book, could care less about spirituality, but they carry no past in their mind. Talk about mindfulness. This is the experience of absolutely no mind except the present moment with gratitude. Isn't that what all the reading and all the workshops and everything we do is about? So look in your life and see the ones around you who may not call themselves spiritual, but who live kind of merrily, living in the moment, having an open and grateful heart, welcoming everything that comes, not trying to resist anything, going with it, and letting it be their next breath. And I have learned more from you, Harvey,
Thank you.
than you have learned from me. That's
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Harvey still has guys that he went to grammar school that meet continually, and all the guys that worked for him, how many years still are meeting?
30 or 40 years.
Nothing spiritual, just love each other. They lived in a realm, in a mindset of love and gratitude, and they still live there. It still calls them presently. That because he tells me, oh, I went to the meeting with the guys that worked at the gas station or at the dealership, and this is it. Live no past. That's all mindfulness is. You catch a thought and you say, that's not so. It's gone. Let it be gone. Don't have to relive it and have to reactivate it, no matter how good or bad it was. Being present is what enlightenment is. Being present is where love presently is.
Somebody once told me, maybe one of you guys, you're all smarter than I am, that's for sure. Listen, otherwise you wouldn't be there. Somebody told me once, and maybe you know where this comes from. The next time you have a thought, let it go. Where did that come from? Jimmy probably knows, or maybe Judith or somebody there.
You know it now.
No, I don't. No. Where did it come from?
I don't know, but you're right. Let it go.
Next time you have a thought, let it go.
This is the realm of thoughts. The other is the reality of everything. God is my everything. He's the air we breathe, the spirit in our hearts. He's our everything. Go for everything. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow. Amen is all we can say.
All right.
You know, I've received lots of accolades and even awards in my life, but I have to say that the most prestigious award that I have ever received was the first Harvey Award.
That's right.
I received, you know, I don't know if you've given out any since then, Harvey, but
That was a long time ago.
He grabbed me one day and said, Jimmy, you're going to get the first Harvey Award. I said, what's the Harvey Award? He said, don't worry. You'll know when you get it.
It was a little silver cup.
Yeah.
It was like the Stanley Cup. And I was inspired by the Stanley Cup. I'm not a hockey fan, but the Stanley Cup was a silver cup. So I got this cup made out of 100% pure silver, and I sent it to Jimmy, and it said the Harvey Cup first award recipient is
James.
yeah. It was with Jimmy.
For being himself. He's himself. James, you are yourself. Through every incarnation, you've been you. Thank you.
So before we go, just because this is fun, Harvey, I would love it. I'm sure we'll find some spiritual lesson in this, but I would love it if you would just tell us the story of when God was in the back seat of your car.
Oh my God.
You know the story I'm talking about.
What time is it?
Go ahead.
You can make it concise. Kind of make it nice and concise.
This is the short version. This is a true story. Whatever that Emes Messiah is, whatever it is. Absolute truth. I only speak truth. I was on my way home from a meeting. I was the president of the Mass Aviation Historical Society for years. And on my way home, I had to go a different route because I didn't want to go the old route for some reason. I know the reason. That's another story. So I was coming home down Route 128. I came through Boston. At the time, I was living in Cohasset. And I had just moved out of my house, and I moved to another house in Cohasset. And I'm going down the highway, and I'm going down the expressway through Boston. I have to go through Quincy and Milton to get to Cohasset, and I get exactly at the exit where it said Milton, Quincy, Adams Street. Well, Vicki lives on Adams Street. I was her father's mechanic. My shop was the mechanic shop. I had a body shop, big mechanic shop with 48 employees. I've serviced 500,000 cars. So as I'm going down the highway, I hear, and I had just gotten divorced. And as I'm going down the highway, I hear from the back seat, "Go see Big Louie. He has a wife for you." So yes, I heard it from the back seat. And and there's an exit. I'm right next to the exit. So in order for me to take the exit, because I knew Big Louie lived at that exit, Adam Street, I had to cross 2 lanes. This is 11 o'clock at night. I quickly looked in the mirror and I cut over. I made it, and I got to the exit. I took the exit, and I said, "What am I doing here?"
And by the way, you need to know that Big Louie is anything but big. He's very big in energy, big in every way except physical size. Very, very small man.
So I was told by God to see Big Louie, and my whole life I've always done what God tells me to do, no matter what. I don't care what it is. If God tells me to do it, I do it. Like Noah and all those kind of things. I would have to build an ark for it. It's going to rain. Okay, I'll build an ark. So I'm one of those. Go see Big Louie. I have to go see Big Louie. So I took the exit. I go to their house. Oh, and I have to tell you, the voice that I heard was in the voice of George Burns. Do you remember remember the movie Oh God? Well, I must have seen it about 6 months or a year before. So George Burns' voice was in the back seat. So when I heard that voice, go see Big Louie, I had to do it. So I get to Vicky's house at like 10 o'clock at night, and I knock on the door, and she says, "What are you doing here, Harvey? Hi, how are you?" I said, "Well, I got a message that I've got to go see your father." And she said, "What about?" He said, "It's a personal message." She said, "Well, he said he's upstairs with Rosie, and they're in bed watching TV." So I go to Louie's room, I knock on the door, and Louie says, "Who's there?" I said, "It's Harvey." "Oh, come on in, Harvey." And he says, "What's going on?" And when I drove up to the house, I saw that Vicky has an Aunt Vicky, and Aunt Vicky's like 20 years older than us. She was like, I don't know, she was like 70 or 75 at the time, and this was about 20 years ago. And I saw Aunt Vicky's car in the driveway, and I said, "Oh well, Aunt Vicky's here, so what?" So when I go into Louie's room, he says, "Well, tell me, what are you here for?" I said, "Well, here's the message I got. Go see Big Louie. You have a wife for me." And he says, "Do I have a wife for you? You marry Vicky." And I'm going, "I can't marry Vicky. She's 20 years older than me." "No, not Aunt Vicky, my Vicky." And I go, "Marry your Vicky, but Vicky's married to Big Ted. And I can't marry Vicky. She's married to Big Ted." And Louis says, "Well, you have a daughter that's 7, and Vicky has little Teddy, and they play together nicely because they knew each other." And he says, "Well, you marry my Vicky." I said, "I'm not marrying your Vicky. She's married." And he said, "Well, don't worry about that. I'll take care of that." And he points up to the armoire. There's an armoire, 8 feet tall in the bedroom, and I see there's a butt of a gun in the armoire. So it's a true story. And he points to the gun. He says, "I'll take care of Big Ted." And he points to the gun. Louis, you can't do anything like that. He says, "Hey, I was a sharpshooter for Roosevelt. I'll do whatever I want." This is a true story. These words are true, true, true. So he said, "You marry Vicky," and I didn't marry Vicky. And the reason why he said that to me, I found out years later. He said it was why I asked him, "How come he said it?" He said it's because of reverse psychology. I really wanted you to marry Noreen, Vicky's sister. And sure enough, about 2 years later, Noreen and I went to the movies, and about a year after that, on September 10th, 2000, we got married. And we've been happily married 22 years after that. Every day is brand new. I never know what I'm going to get, and it's fun. So,
They're still honeymooning.
yes.
Now, if I remember the story, didn't Louis, after he told you about the Vicky, didn't he say, "But you stay away from Noreen or I'll
Yes,
kill
he
you"?
did.
Yeah. He said, "Yeah." And that's why he said, "Stay away from Noreen, I'll kill you." That was his reverse psychology angle. He said that.
Yeah.
They've been happily married ever since. I just wish one of these days we're going to get Noreen to come on and
I'm
share.
gonna try. Let's see.
Well, she's got Kiera right
Yeah.
now.
You want to just say hello? No.
Yeah, she
No.
Okay.
Noreen, one of these days we're going to get you.
Yeah.
she can't hear. She's another one.
She is just the two peas in a pod, she and Vicky. But instead of A Course in Miracles, for her, it's Joel Goldsmith. She's probably the leading expert on Joel Goldsmith.
That's
in the
true.
whole world.
That really is true. And I too, I'm not an expert in Goldsmith or the Course, but there's a lot of Joel books around the house. And whenever I feel like reading, I will pick up a Joel book and I'll read a page or two. And it's invigorating just to know that somebody else out there thinks like me. And I think that's the greatest compliment that any of us can have, is that we have a likeness with other people that are of the same cloth.
So I think that the real message here, and Vicky, you brought this out beautifully, is we can read about these things, but ultimately what we read is blah, blah, blah. It's organic. The reason why Harvey was here to share was to show the organic grace of awakening. You don't need to read books. You don't even need to have a spiritual teacher. You just need to be open to listen to the voice that is telling you what to do every moment, and it will guide you. You don't have to have all of the other stuff is fine. And if you're guided to move through that, wonderful. There are books that speak to you, teachers that speak to you, but it's organic because it's who you are already. You cannot change it. You cannot alter the truth of who you are. And Harvey's the perfect example of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's so.
To me, that's a blessing to me. Thank you.
You're welcome, and it's very
You
true.
like my Boston accent?
We love you, Harvey.
Love you too, James.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, and thanks to all of you for joining us today. We've gone a little bit over, so we're going to go ahead and close. And why don't we close with the prayer of protection that we use often enough. Let me put it up on the big screen here. Let's really feel this prayer here today. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the light of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever God is, I am, and all is well. Amen, 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 y punto. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a grateful day.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love you all.
Thank you.
Have a grateful
Bye-bye.
day.
Love you all.
Bye now.